Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy Friday Eve. We've made it. And things look a little different here this week because I have a friend with me and I have Sean from The Guy Who Sews. How's everybody
G'day,
doing
and
out there?
thank you so much for inviting me. It's really nice to be able to join you over as a guest. Usually, I'm the one hosting, so this is going to be a little different.
It
And
is a
you
little
all have to
different.
you have to keep an eye on me because sometimes I tend to take over, and I'm going to try very, very hard not to do that because I'm just not used to not hosting. So
Not
I'm
be
gonna behave. I hope.
I have faith in you. It is a little bit more anxiety producing being the one in charge of all the controls. It's much nicer when I just show up on your channel and sit there and chat. Hi Connie, coming in from Central California, Central Valley, California, much nicer than here in New York today, I'm sure. Hi, Twyla, Brenda, Krista. Hey, everybody. Um, I got
Andy,
we
good
could.
evening.
Oh, Andy. Hey, Andy. I guess we'll kind of mirror since you're the only experience I have being live. Why don't you tell us what you have to work on today, Sean?
Okay, so I am very slowly working on my 12 days of stitches. We have opened box number 7 or 8. I can't keep count now. I'm falling a bit behind, but that's okay. But I'm actually halfway through block number 2. So I'm going to try and finish this one tonight. I'll come close to it. And if I do, I've got block number 3 all, well, it's already pre-cut, but I got it all kind of done by rows so that way I can work on that as well. So what about yourself?
I hopefully we'll see. And I see Aaron out there. Hey, Aaron. May finally finish the top of my wall hanging of Aaron's pattern, the solstice spruce. I have them all pinned here and ready to go. This quilt top should be very quick, and it would be if I did it more than the 1 hour a week I've been on live where I'm half typing and half or half chatting and half sewing.
Well, that's why you
Um,
bring a friend because you can do your stuff while you ask them questions or something.
yeah. um, Martha,
So
oh,
how's
Martha
your
on
week
her
been?
evening commute. Oh, go ahead.
How has your week been so far?
It's been pretty good. My daughter, my 4-year-old's been sick, but she went back to school today. So that means I actually got to work from home today without somebody sitting right next to me the whole day. So that was great. And Martha, you be careful on that drive home. Martha always listens every week on her commute home from work in California.
Oh, see,
How,
it's Orange County, right?
yep. I used to watch The Real Housewives of Orange County. That's the closest I've ever been to California or Orange County. How's your week been, Sean? Are you ready for the holidays?
Almost. We're getting closer. We did a lot of our shopping last weekend. We went out to the mall. We took the girls, and for anyone that's new, my wife and I host foreign exchange students. We currently have two. One is from Denmark, and the other one is from Germany. I had to think about that for a minute. I get them all confused, because they're all kids to me, and I just I'm like any kids. We get the names mixed up, and that sort of thing there. But yeah, we got most of the shopping done. I still have to run out and get Amanda her gift. I know what I'm buying her. I just have to run out and grab it. But yeah, we're getting there.
That's good. I did most of the shopping and then my husband does the wrapping. And so I think I'm waiting for one more Amazon package and then it's all in his hands. He
There you
needs to
go.
start wrapping.
That's a good way
Um,
to divide and conquer.
mm-hmm. Connie says I'm working on a minor job on a costume for a bonus daughter. Ooh, that sounds fun. What kind of costume? Hey, Arlie. Oh, and Andy's bragging about our gorgeous 83-degree weather. Maybe she's not bragging, but I'm just jealous.
She did
And
such a beautiful job on that one.
yeah, oh yeah, the woven hearts. That is, I cannot. It is a stunner. Did you ever decide if you're gonna do a border on that? Because I think you had said you would cut the border fabric, right, or something. There was a border issue. Hey, Zaza.
She's up late.
Zaza is. I don't know what the time conversion is, but she's always here, showing us.
She's 5 hours ahead of us, so it's 2 a.m. where she is. over there in
You're
Scotland.
hanging out with me in the middle of the night every week?
Yep. That's why I said she was up late. I know the time conversions between here and the UK. So I was like, good gravy.
Dang. Yeah, she's here every week.
And I'm assuming Brenda's somewhere in Canada because she says -1 Celsius tonight and wet snow, which is about 30 degrees Fahrenheit for anyone in the US.
Yeah, Brenda usually has to do those conversions for me. Yes, she is my Canadian quilt bestie.
Yep. Well, I grew up with metric, so I've kind of just I had to learn the US measurement system when I got here. That took a while.
I can't even imagine. I have to Google it. I used to have to Google it, but now Brenda just spoils me and if she puts something in Celsius in our text, she'll immediately thereafter write the Fahrenheit for me so I don't have to
Oh, no.
convert it. She does the math
And
for
that's one
me.
thing the kids love about having me as a host parent is that I do the same thing for them. Like Amanda will say, "Oh, well, it's going to be 60 degrees or whatever." Sorry, I have to plug something in real quick.
Oh,
And
no
then I
problem.
immediately converted over to Celsius for them.
But here's the thing that I've always wondered is all of the patterns I get, and this I could have always asked you, Brenda, all of the patterns I get are always in like inches. Are quilting patterns all over the place in inches?
Apparently so, yeah, because my sister in Australia is the same way. She has her patterns in inches, the reels are in inches. So, yeah, it's like one of the few things that seems to be in the imperial system.
Well, thank goodness for that, because I wouldn't have been able to hang, I don't think. Oh, and that's what Zaza said. Quilting taught me the imperial measurements. It always feels like Star Wars when somebody says something's the imperial measurements. I just think of Star Wars.
Well, yeah, you have to kind of specify too, because when you talk about gallons, for instance, there's actually two different gallons. There's an imperial gallon and a US gallon.
I didn't even know that.
So a US gallon is 3.781 liters. And an imperial gallon, which is what they use over in the UK and other parts of the world, it's 4.5. So you're about
it's a pretty big difference.
a pretty big difference. It's about 24 fluid ounces difference, or a fifth. If you buy an alcohol like a spirits bottle,
Right.
that much difference.
That's a big difference. Hi, Laura. I saw you up there. Thanks for joining. And Zaza says Asian patterns are in centimeters. Wow, they are predominantly in inches as it's a huge American market. Well, finally. Well, I shouldn't say finally, but man, I'm glad the world adapted to the American measurements. Although I feel like most of the world has to adapt to our measurements because I don't know, we're America and that's just the way it seems to work.
Well, not in shipping. Pretty much like international shipping is all in metric, except for when it gets over here and we have to convert it for them. But it's all in kilos and metric tons and everything else. So
interesting. Oh, and Andy says
I learned like inches and feet and stuff when I was a teenager because I used to work in a department store very similar to Kmart and Target and Walmart. And a lot of my older clients grew up in learning the imperial system because we didn't switch over to metric until 1971, I think it was, before I was born.
Oh, no kidding.
A lot of the older people still came in looking for 6-foot curtains or street, that sort of thing there. So I took the time to learn feet and inches and then ended up moving to America. So it came in very handy. I learned ounces and pounds from Whitman's chocolate boxes because we started selling those in Australia in the late 90s. So I learned that way. Temperature and fluid ounces and stuff I had to figure out when I got here. And then writing the dates backwards, that took me years to figure out.
I will admit that the dates make more sense to write the other way, but yeah. Now I'll never be able to switch.
I gave the poor health inspector here a heart attack one day because I used to work at Chick-fil-A and they came to do their yearly inspection and I'd made all the coleslaw and chicken salad and that the previous day and wrote the dates on it the Australian way. And she comes in, walks into the freezer, walk-in thing, and she's like, how long's this been here? So I put it in here yesterday. And she's like, why is there a date from 6 months ago? And I'm like, because I'm Australian, I wrote it backwards. She's like, are you sure? I said, open it up and take a whiff. I said, if this thing's 6 months old, you'll
You'd be able
soon
to
learn.
tell
You'll be able to tell if I'm lying to you right now.
it. That's you would be able to tell, that is for sure.
Yeah. She's like, okay.
So Sean is here for a specific reason. Well, other than it's great to have him and it's nice to return the favor. But we have decided to kick off a challenge in January. And so we are both challenging each other and going to hold each other accountable to try to sew every single day in January. Yeah. Are you excited? Are you ready?
Oh, absolutely. It's better than trying to work out every day, because if it's cold out, it's cold outside. You don't want to go outside running or walking or anything else like that. But we figured, let's have a fun challenge to kick off the year right. And we figured,
Yeah.
why not? We're sewing, and then we've made it fairly simple. You don't have to sit there and sew for hours and hours each day. I think we said 10 or 15 minutes minimum each day. So
Yep.
even if we get home from work, it's just a good way for us to chill. I mean, and that can include hand sewing if you want. I mean, that might actually be a good idea for me some days where I get my embroidery needle out and do some of my embroidery stuff. I could take that to work and do it. I might be able to finish it off before I get home. So,
There you
but yeah,
go. Yeah.
that's the challenge we've given each other, is to do so each day in the month of January. And we would love it if you wanted to join in this challenge as well. And if you do, let us know. I know I would love to hear it. And definitely know Tasha would as well. If you
Yeah.
decide to join us.
And I count 15 minutes of like, if you just go down to your sewing room and you tidy up and get organized so that you're ready to actually sit down in your sewing machine, if it's 15 minutes of progress of making time for yourself related to the hobby, I'm all for it.
There you go. Okay, so here's a question I didn't ask you this before. What is the penalty if we miss a day?
Oh, I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe we should let the audience decide or give us some suggestions. Like, I don't like the idea of having to do 10 push-ups or anything else like that. But yeah, what is the penalty if we miss a day?
I'm
Because
scared.
sometimes you need a consequence.
Aaron says maybe we have to do some quilt math. Oh, you know what would be torture is getting one of Aaron's patterns and having to help her compute her math. She's a
See,
wonderful quilt designer who always has multiple sizes and choices for you to choose from. So her math is quite complex. I'm
see,
seeing
I
lots of
like
I'm ins.
that is awesome. Yeah, we just Tasha and I talked about this a while ago, and we figured, let's kick off 2025 something fun. Oh, there's an idea.
I love that one, actually, Andy. That's a great.
Yes, and Amy said the same thing. Send a fact quarter for every day you miss.
Well, Amy, if you're already sewing every day, you're in the lead. You got a head start. You already got the habit built.
Well, I think they talk about you and I. Like, if I miss a day, I send you a fact quarter, and
Yeah.
vice versa.
Yeah. No,
And we
I
could,
agree. I like that.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, I've got a nice little stack of fact quarters here that I don't really want to lose. But give me incentive. Like, I think that would be yeah, better than the 10 push-ups. So
Way better. I'm in. I love that penalty.
I think that's a good idea. So thank you to Andy, Amy, and Brenda, who all said that the fat quarter a day per day missed is a good idea. So
Yeah,
that is awesome.
yes. And if you're interested in joining the challenge, I have a link down in the description I made because I like planning things and tracking things. And you're going to see that in the next couple weeks as I'm planning 2025 and bringing you along with me. But I designed this little, you probably can't see it that well, but take my word for it and click the link, this little quilt block that's 28 days, right? So I'm giving you a few days grace period where you don't have to send anybody a fat quarter except for Sean. And
Yep.
it's a quilt block that you can color in for every day that you sew in January or any day that you want to do the challenge. And so you can kind of track your progress if that's your thing, because it is my thing. So I'm going to be coloring in every day. Maybe I'll have to make a couple extra shapes so that I can get to 31 on here.
Well, you can always put some embellishments on it.
Put some what on it?
Embellishments of some description,
Yeah.
like applique something or
Yes, I'll have to do that. A fat quarter jar instead of a swear jar. That's hilarious, Amy. Yes, I'm excited.
Well, you know what? Speaking of fat quarter jars, Amanda gave me this yesterday. It's like one of her gifts came in it, and she's like, "Put it in your sewing room, so maybe this can be my fat quarter
Yes, let's
basket."
fill it up.
Well, let's keep it empty. All right, so that's gonna be the fat quarter jar,
I love it. I'll have to find one, but I plan on keeping it empty too.
and that's good. You know, if that incentivizes us to um, continue to challenge, I think it's good. But I do like the idea of having a consequence. So
Yeah, that's really fun. I really love that idea. You guys are so creative.
hey, that's why I said take it to the audience. You know, they have brilliant ideas. I love interacting with the audience and listening to their ideas because I don't have all the answers.
No, can't wait to see all the fun stuff that we all sew up in January. I got a list going of things I want to. I have a list of whips I'm bringing into 2025 with me.
Well, me too. And that's something that I want to focus on in 2025 is actually get some of my whips actually like my quilt tops finished, like quilted and out the door because I have way too many. Well, like I like the piece stuff, but then I always move on to something shiny before I finish them. So
Well, look at I got one hanging behind me that is waiting to be finished. I just broke my first needle on this machine as we were talking about our 2025 challenge. Is this an omen?
I broke a needle myself the other day. It was I forgot to change it from zigzag to straight and it went bang and I was like, whoops. But I needed to change the needle anyway, so I was like, okay, whatever. That was just a sign that I needed to change it.
It did not, this machine did not like this seam. I was like, did I leave a pin or something in here? But I did not. It's just very angry.
So you asked earlier if I finished my holiday shopping. What about everybody in the chat? Have you guys finished your Christmas or holiday shopping, or are you still madly rushing around trying to figure out what you want to do? Because I don't know if your family's like this, but I have certain members in my family that are impossible to buy for. And I must admit, I am one of those people. Like, I'm impossible to buy for because I don't ask for much. And whatever I do want, I have a job, I have a paycheck, and I have a few pennies left over here and there. And if I want something, I'll go and buy it myself. So,
I am also hard to shop for, I think. But my husband usually does a pretty good job of coming up with something for me each year. But
that's good.
yeah,
And Amanda told me she has enough yarn, so that's kind of blown my go-to.
Hey, Chloe.
So it's good to see Chloe.
And Zaza, was it Zaza? Now I'm scrolling up. Said our fat quarter challenge to each other is a good way to get rid of ugly fabric. And then Arlie said, yes, should send each other ugly fat quarters, and the other person has to make something with them. So,
why are we going to punish the poor person that did the right thing? Like,
that's true too. Yeah, Tessa, that actually did scare me. I was like, what is happening? It is a little scary when those needles break.
Do it enough, you just get used to it, and it's not so bad. What happened here?
Oh, Zaza says only have one more present to buy. Chloe's Krista's finishing her sewing this weekend. And Andy says, I don't know how any quilter could be hard to shop for. Don't you know where the local quilt shop is? Yeah, that is true. And Fernie, hi Fernie, says, my family is the same as you. They don't need a thing. They can buy whatever they want or need. Hello from Minnesota. Hello, Fernie.
Yeah, my in-laws are getting harder and harder to buy for. Yeah, we're getting to the point now where I always just say, look, let's just give them an experience. Let's take them out to dinner. Let's do a day trip together somewhere or do something like that. Because yeah, you get to a point in your life where
What do you
the
need?
material things aren't as important as family time. So yeah, you've got that as an option too. But the last few years, people have family members and that have been buying me quilting t-shirts, and that's worked out beautifully. So
I don't own any quilting t-shirts, CJ, if you're watching this.
yeah, that's a great option for a lot of quilters, and thankfully, there's more and more out there that are suitable for gents because there was a time not that long ago where if you wanted a quilting t-shirt, you had to put up with flowers or girly stuff on there. But thankfully, it's not the case anymore. There's still some, of course, which is cool, but it's nice being able to find something that I would be okay wearing too. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That is true. They are becoming more inclusive. Lots of good options out there.
yeah,
Oh, look at
because
my
there's a
night
lot.
bot's working. It's a miracle. Sorry, go ahead.
My Nightbot always works for me, which is nice. All right, I'm trying to make sure I don't mess this up a second time. Okay, let's see. So we got that on row 4.
Oh, Amy, you do Christmas with your family in February? That's kind of nice. You kind of get to come down from everything else and then start making things again.
See, I'm still trying to get used to a cold Christmas. It just does not feel right.
Oh, and Amy, I'm sorry to hear your husband's in the hospital. I hope he heals well and is home soon.
Sorry to hear that. I missed that. We're praying for him.
Oh, Andy, I've never heard of Maker Valley. Have you heard of Maker Valley, Sean?
No, I have not. I'll have to go take a look at that now.
So
Keyboard.
my Janome came with needles that are blue, purple, and pink. It had a pink one in it. Does anybody know what the difference between these needles are?
The sizes, I think, but don't quote me on which one's which.
Tell me which one. I know Zaza and Brenda have. I'm pretty sure Zaza has a Janome, or she just seems knowledgeable on them.
Well, Liz, let's see. What's Uncle Google say? Know your needles. Blue tip is 11 ball point needle.
Yeah, like I know.
Let's see. We got to learn stuff, aren't we?
Hi, Donna. I just use a universal needle. Yeah, I was hoping one of these might be a universal needle, Brenda, but I just
Yeah,
don't know.
that's what I just use the universal one too. It makes life a lot easier for me.
Of course, I wasn't planning on a needle breaking, so I don't even know where my. We're just gonna pick one and go with it. There was a pink one in there, so I'm just going with it. Pink one. Oh,
Yeah.
Andy's got a chart. Pink was size 7511. That seems like not the normal size I use. That doesn't seem like the universal size, is it?
What is the universal size? I've got 5 packets of these somewhere. Here we go. Let's see. There's some Mets Universal. Oh, they've got different sizes: 70, 10, 80,
I'm
12,
going.
90. I don't know. I put a needle in the machine and it stitches stuff. I don't sit there and work about it too
There's two.
much.
There's two blues, so I'm going blue. Been decided.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work right, then you try something else. Oh, did I mess this up again? No, that's that. And that.
You guys
Okay.
watch me suffer trying to put a needle in my machine for the first time.
Yeah, and this is why I don't go live on weeknights because my brain is fried from dealing with work stuff all day.
I feel like if you can handle Saturday morning, you can handle Thursday night.
Yeah, but the difference is that I've had 6 hours of sleep between the time before I go live on a
That's
Saturday
true.
morning. There's methods to my madness sometimes. Oh, there we go.
Mine had to be strategically done when my kids would be asleep.
Me too.
That's funny. Can't wait until my kids are blue tip as jeans. There are 2 lines of color or just one? Just one color, Andy. Maybe we can go with purple for the middle.
Yeah, it may be different for Janome versus Schmetz, like because the Janome ones might be more designed. I don't know. I am not an expert when it comes to sewing machine needles. Although I will tell you, I did buy some generic needles on Amazon once, and absolute junk. Never ever ever do that again. It's always there's some stuff you can skimp on. Needles for your sewing machine, in my opinion, is not one of those. Buy a brand name needle. They're not that expensive. Trying to save yourself a few dollars is not worth it. I learned the hard way. I want you all to not have to suffer like I did, because there was a lot of swearing and cursing and that sort of thing when that happened. And so,
Oh, is my camera blinking?
yeah, it fritzes in and out. It's almost like when you watch Stranger Things. I don't
That's
know why it's
weird.
doing. I've never seen it do that before.
Let's see.
All right, so Dev Esther Pugmum Quilter, good evening to you. Good evening, Chloe. She said she was surprised to see me here. Yes, I do not do many evening lives. I get invited to them from time to time, and I usually decline because I am not anywhere near my best at this time of night. But Tasha and I had this fun project going on together, and she told me I'd be her first guest, and that was kind of like what broke me. I was like, okay, it's fine. I don't know how good I'll be, but I will come join you. So
doing great.
Thank you. I've only had to pull out Jack once.
It's been. Are you already pulling out Jack? Yep. Maybe not as good as I thought you were doing then.
Well, I don't have the second camera on, so you missed all that.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was there. Oh, there. But no.
Oh, there we go. I just got to turn it down. Yeah. Did it echo?
Yeah.
Okay, just leave it off then. It's misbehaving. Does that sometimes. Oh, okay. Amy says here the brand that comes with Janome are organ, and they are coated differently. If you have a magnifying glass, it's printed in the color. I have some organ needles here. I have not used them yet. They came with my East Quilting Coat kit for Pooh. Apparently they're very, very good, but I haven't had a chance to use them yet. I think next time I need a needle, I might put one of those in to see how that one works.
Brenda says the purple one is the one I want, which happened to be the one that I picked. So that worked out.
Oh, nice.
Pink is extra strong, purple is flanged, and blue is all purpose. Donna, it is also past our bedtime, but here we are.
Yes. The things you do for your friends. I know there's probably like 10 different content creators coming on one time soon and going, okay, why did he come here and not me? And I apologize in advance, but yeah, that I couldn't say no to being a first guest.
Yes, it feels rightfully so. You were the first place I went live, and now you're the first guest I've had.
Very nice. Well, I appreciate that. I really do.
And Andy, I think we have firmed it up. I think Andy's going to be here in a couple of weeks too. So hopefully I'll have my flickering camera figured out. I'll have my extra needles ready to go. So the next time I have a guest, if the broken needle curse continues, I'll be ready.
Yeah, no, you'd be good. I need to have Andy on my channel, but I think we'll have to wait till springtime because otherwise she'd have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know if Andy's an early bird or not.
He shows up to the lives pretty regularly, but I don't know if she's showing up to the live and being an active participant. It's two different things.
Two different things.
But once daylight savings kicks in here, it'll be 6 o'clock, so that I might have a better chance. But well, oh, that's true. Yeah, special bond since Tasha hit the 1K mark over at my channel that day. Yeah, that is true. So
Very exciting. It was so
yes,
funny. I was flipping through our um I was looking for your email address to send you an email about coming on here, and you had invited me onto your live the first time, and I wrote to you, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. I just hit 100 subscribers." And then like 2 months later or 3 months later, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. I hit 1,000." I like went by so fast.
I know it was so special though being there when it happened. Like
Yeah.
with I've had the privilege and the joy of celebrating with many others with their miles, whether it's 500 or 1,000 or 500, but it's never been during one of my events. It's usually like we all put out a post, as a community and support each other and try and get our friends to hit those goals because they're important. Like they mean a lot because when you start hitting the record button, you don't expect ever to hit 100 or 1,000 or anything like that. I thought if I got 50 when I started, I'd be doing extremely well. And look at us all now. So
Right. Like right now, there's 29 people here. If there was like 29 people standing in your sewing room looking at you, you'd feel like so overwhelmed.
until
It's so
I know I
exciting.
tell them all to go away. I can comfortably fit two in here. So okay, no, she says winter is better. Okay, well, I'll be in touch with you soon and we will set up a date if you're willing. So I have had one person come on from the West Coast before at 5 a.m. their time. I was a little surprised when they showed up. Because I was like, I'd probably sleep in that day. I have slept in on my live once.
You slept in once?
Yep.
Oh,
I felt terrible because it was Becca and Ian, and they had to leave at like 9 o'clock to go to a quilt show or something like that. And then um, I was late that day. But we made it work. We had a good time, and yeah,
and
it
who
hasn't
you
happened
had
since.
on? What is it? Katie from
Greenland
Greenland?
Quilter. Yeah.
What time was that for her?
It's not. It would have been 11 a.m. She's 3 hours
Oh,
ahead of us.
okay. So she was, I think she had just been maybe talking about when I tuned in that maybe she had just been up early, maybe unrelated.
Yeah, I think she was just up early. I don't know. She shouldn't have been nervous. She's been on the channel many, many times before. Um, I don't know, but yeah, no, she's ahead of us. Because she's roughly halfway between us and Europe. So
Oh, okay.
there we go. All right. Place with Donna says it'll be creepy if 29 on my sewing room. Yeah, that's how I felt. That's why I was like, yeah, I tell someone to leave because I love you all, but there's not enough room.
Yeah. Thank you, Zaza. She says she appreciates the amount of effort we put in.
Thank you. And we love it. We do it because we enjoy it. We're definitely not here for the paycheck because although we do get a small one, it is not a whole lot of money. And yeah, I think I'd be kicked out of my house very, very quickly if I had to live on YouTube pays me.
I have not actually hit that monetization threshold yet.
You'll get there soon enough.
Yeah, so I'm still just here for the fun to spare my husband from having to listen to me talk about quilting all the time.
And I'm sure he appreciates that. I think
He
my wife
does.
appreciates me not having to me jabber jaw about quilting
I'd
too.
argue that he says it's priceless.
There you go.
All right, this new needle is working fine for tonight, and then I'm going to switch to one of my universal needles that I have that I know for sure that I like later. But all right, we're getting closer. Yeah, that was a super thick seam. I probably did not iron according to any logic or if there was ironing instructions in the
Do
pattern.
you press open or do you press to the dark side?
To the dark side.
Okay, see, if I've found that if you have a lot of bulky, like a lot of seams and stuff together, open is usually a good option.
I should try. I've never pressed them open before, so I should probably give it a try and see how I like it.
You should, because I was definitely, I was always press to the dark side guy too. But then it was a couple of years ago, and I don't know if Amy's still here in the chat, but she's actually the reason I started pressing open, whether she knows it or not. We decided as a group, as content creators, a couple of years ago, Beth over at Goody Goods was having her fourth and final child. I think she's done. And we wanted to make quilts for the four kids. And so we all banded together, viewers. There's actually some viewers and some content creators. We all made quilt blocks for these quilts, and they all sent them to me. I sewed the quilt tops together. I sent it over to Courtney over at Pieces Loving Quilting. She quilted it, and we gave it to Beth and the kids. And Amy sent a couple of blocks in, and they were beautiful. They're all tulip pink stuff. And she had pressed them open, and I looked at the back of this block and how beautiful it was, and how even the pressing was and everything else, because it was open, even though it was very intricate. And I was like, I've got to try this for myself. And I've been doing it that way ever since. So yeah, Amy said she's still here, and yes, press open for bulky seams. So yeah, she is the reason that I started open seams, and I appreciate it more than she ever knows. And she may not have even known up until today that she's the reason I started.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a try. If I'm thinking about it, I like to press in opposite directions for the rows so they nest up.
Yeah.
When I'm doing like a, something with blocks that align, I like them to. I'm still looking at this camera, but it's now this camera. But yeah, I'll have to. Oh, and then Brenda says, I think pressing open has its place. I end up doing both depending on the blocks. I'll have to give open a try.
It is very, very true. I was looking at Brenda's comment, and I totally agree with that. It's like, yeah, there's definitely a time and place for both. I press open for the most part, but there are certain sections where I will press to one side or the other as too. If the fabric's going to fight me too much, I have too much. Yeah, I will just let it do what it wants. I'm not going to fight it. And then if it's a long seam, like, I don't know if I can reach it or not. Let me see. Sometimes for longer seams, like on my Art East projects, let me see if I can grab Pooh here real quick. Like these are certain ones where I find, like on the back of this here, this seam here on the back going all the way down, I just press that to one side because it's a lot easier. But when it's all intricate like so, I find that the pressing open works out well. Now, the only downside to pressing open, and I didn't discover this too much later, is you really can't stitch in the ditch with it because you're not really holding on to anything. So if you plan on stitching in the ditch, definitely press to one side or the other, because otherwise you'll cry later on when it all falls apart.
when nothing is actually quilted.
Yeah.
Amy says she did not know that she was an influencer, Sean. So,
well, I mean, the viewers are definitely influence us and inspire us as much as we do for them. And I've said that many times, and yeah, Amy's just one of those reasons. And Amy, were you the one that introduced me to Art East with the Mythical Darksons pattern, or is that someone else? I want to say that was Amy as well.
Everyone stay away from Amy. She's very influential.
Oh, I love Amy to death. There's nothing. Yeah, like I've walked into this influencing thing open-heartedly. Like, yeah, no, I forget. Yeah. I think it was Amy that introduced me. Someone took me a message one day and said, "Hey, you've got to go check out this pattern called Mythical Darksons," and I saw it, and I'm like, "Okay, yep, bye, download."
That's
off awesome. To the store. I think I ran off to the store that day and bought fabric for it.
When I love when you see something that just sets off those little receptors in your brain that are like, I want that, I need that.
Yeah, I get it now, and then I have to figure out when can I actually get time to start this without actually finish something else. Like, okay, Amy says she was the Mythical Darkson culprit. I thought that was, yeah. So see, Amy's got more influence on my sewing journey than most. So
that's hilarious. Good night, Zaza. I hope you sleep well.
Definitely. All right. So Brenda says she's quilted those dogs. I had these 3 times. They were so cute. Yeah, I want to do that pattern again. I have a recipient in mind for that quilt. I'm not going to say who it is because there's a remote chance they might be watching. But yeah.
Hello.
Sorry.
I said I was greeting Michelle the quilter. Hello.
Yes, Michelle. She's a lovely lady. I've had her on my channel. We had her back in July, I think it was.
Oh,
She has her own wonderful channel as well. So
I have to go check her out.
yeah, Michelle's fun. So there we go. All right. So there we go. I'm just making sure I don't miss anything in the chat.
I know I'm scrolling back through.
Andy says you can shorten the stitch length if you're worried about stitching the ditch. That's also a good what's it called, tip. See, I'm telling you, I'm not at my best at 9 o'clock at night. This is why I normally
Well,
say
9:40
no.
now. You're still doing great. They're used to that. I can't come up with words the whole time I'm live. I always have my notebook. I'm usually Googling things. They're used to that around
Oh, I'm
here.
the same way. I feel like I'm a hot mess every Saturday morning.
Oh, Laura says she's been listening and she presses open most of the time because I learned to sew from my grandma and she told me to press open. You don't really mess with grandmas.
No,
Um,
especially not my grandma.
yeah.
She was not a man. She was a loving lady and all, but she was not one you mess with.
Now I have to see. I spent some time messing with this Nightbot, that little robot, and I did try to do one of these. Let's see if it works.
It's always
I don't think it
fun.
worked.
Okay, your
I'm trying.
comments.
Didn't work. Oh, it
There it
did
is.
work. Look at
It
that.
did work. There you go.
Hey, I'm a computer programmer now.
I'd say it should have worked. I mean, I know you and I talked about that last time you were on. I gave you a quick run through, and I was like, I think she's got it. So yeah, looks good.
You know what I forgot to do is I forgot to add it as like a moderator or something. So that's why it didn't work last time. Like it didn't type anything into the chat because
Oh, okay, yeah.
I forgot
I
that
may
out.
have neglected to tell you that. That could have been my fault.
Oh, that's all right. That's what Google's for.
Exactly. Good evening, Jess. It's good to see you.
Hey, Jess.
Oh, hang on. I'm thinking of a different lady. Yes, Michelle says that's Michelle's Quilts and Crafts. I don't have a channel, but thanks for the compliment. I still think she's a lovely lady. Like,
Yeah,
it's
we're still rooting for you, Michelle.
yeah. We love you with you, regardless.
Whether you're the
Everyone that
Michelle
shows
we
up.
thought or not. Yeah.
Yeah. I told you, not at my best at 9:40 at night.
I
Exhibit
can see
B.
how that could be confused, Michelle the quilter and Michelle quilts and crafts. So
Yeah.
you're not too far off there. I can't believe Jess is here. She's keeping up with her everyday videos of Vlogmas.
Well, she's better than I am. I was supposed to release one yesterday, and I'm supposed to release another one tomorrow, and I don't know.
You've had a busy
We'll
night.
yeah. Because I was telling Tasha right before I hopped on, I was getting ready for the live. 8:30 pops around, and I get this message that says, someone's in your Zoom meeting waiting for you. And I'm like, well, I'm meeting Tasha on StreamYards. That's different service. And it was one of my wonderful guests that was recording with me for the Quilt Trunk Show in 2 weeks. And I had no idea that was scheduled for today because I had it set up in a scheduling program, and I figured it would give me notice like that morning or whatever, and it didn't. So I was like, okay, let's get this done real quick, and then we will duck over to Tasha. So yeah, that kind of threw me off the yeah.
That's funny.
If something throws me out, yeah, I'm one of those people that if I have a set procedure, and if I have to get it changed, it throws me off sometimes. So there we go.
Fernie is asking Andy if you shorten the stitch of the block or shorten the stitch of the block or in the ditch. I'm a newbie quilter, and as a newbie, I appreciate all the information. Do you shorten the stitch of the block or in the ditch? So I think what she's saying, if you want to shorten your stitch when you're stitching in the ditch. So stitching in the ditch means you're stitching in a seam and you shorten your stitch length is what she's saying, so that your actual stitches are shorter. But Andy, you correct me if I'm wrong, of course.
Okay, so that's a good question to throw out there for everybody is when you do your quilting, what is your stitch length that you do?
I normally just use my normal one that I even piece with. Sometimes I make mine a little bit bigger because if I like the way it looks like aesthetically, sometimes I like a bigger stitch. I do walking foot quilting though, so
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what everybody
yeah.
else does because I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. But I'm curious like I know when you do foundation paper piecing, you're supposed to shorten it down to about 1.2 to 1.3 or something. So that way, if you have to rip it out, you don't tear the paper as much. But for, yeah, like my piecing here, what I'm doing right now, I think I do 2 millimeters. And I think for my quilting, because I used the Bonina behind me for quilting, I think it defaults at 2.4, and I usually am too lazy to mess with it. But otherwise, yeah, like that's what I do. But is it right? Is it wrong? Well, the quilts haven't fallen apart yet, so I guess I'm doing something right. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what everybody else tells us because maybe I'm doing it wrong in the eyes of everybody else. Who knows?
And Andy and Arlie corrected me saying shorten your stitch length while you're piecing is what they meant, which actually makes sense.
Oh, okay. That,
um,
that makes sense.
hey Tasha, my fellow Tasha. And I saw you, Chloe, out there making $2 million orders, making those accountants happy out there.
Okay, so Amy says three mil for quilting, 2 mil for piecing, 1.5 for FPP. Okay, so I'm close. Okay. Brenda's 1.8 from piecing, 1.5 for FPP is quilting is 10 stitches per inch. So that's about 2.5 because there's about 2.5 centimeters or 25 millimeters in an inch. So, okay, so
Joanne's got a bigger stitch length.
three
Three.
when quilting.
I like the bigger when I'm quilting too.
Yeah,
But
okay.
mine is 1.8 when I'm piecing too, but that's just because that's what my machine
Defaults
started
to
at. And
you liked it and you stuck with it. Okay, I was just really curious. It's one of those questions that I never remember to ask when I'm live or recording a video or anything. But I was probably interested just to see, am I within the ballpark of everybody else, or are we all fairly close? Are we that sort of thing there? So this is really cool information to have. 3 when quilting, 2.5 for piecing, and 1.8 for FPP. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we're all fairly similar. I mean, we're off by maybe 0.4 of a millimeter, which is 32nd of an inch or something. Yeah, not much at all. Because there's 25 millimeters in an inch, or 25.4, or I can't remember the exact number, but close enough. So yeah, if we're off by 0.5 of a millimeter, it's really like 1/50 of an inch. So yeah, we're all very, very close. Even though these numbers sound wildly different, they're really not.
And I do feel like when I just recently switched machines, that like the 1.8 on this machine and the 1.8 on the last machine were a little different. Brenda's kind of mirroring that
Yeah, as I
same thing
say,
too. This
yeah.
1.8 seems smaller, shorter than the 1.8 on my last machine. But it still works fine for me.
And it could be how well calibrated are your feed dogs, because they're the ones that are advancing if my what is it? If my knowledge of mechanics is correct, the feed dogs is what advances your fabric. And if it's not calibrated correctly, then your 1.8 could be 1.9 or 1.85 or 2 point, who knows? So there we go. Dragonflies for Donna's asking what size do I use when I quilt? I believe it's 2.4. I think that's what comes up on the machine automatically. And someone else said they use 2.4 as well. So if they're using a Bonina, I would say that's probably right. Yes.
Donna said she got excited for the quilt block tracker. So just in case anybody wasn't here at the beginning, Sean and I are doing a challenge in January to challenge each other every day to sew. And if we don't make it, we owe each other a fat quarter for any days we miss. And there's this little quilt block tracker. There's a link in the description if you want to color in and join us and color what days you actually sew. But she downloaded the tracker and because of the time of day, thought it was a FPP pattern and her eyes bugged out.
I
Understandably.
thought it was FPP too. I mean, I'm with Donna on that one. I was like, okay, that's gonna be one wacky FPP block. So
Just color it in. Just color it in with your markers.
okay,
No sewing needed.
wonderful. Okay, all right. I really did think it was okay. I feel better now that I'm not the only one that thought that. So yeah, I'm definitely with Donna on that one.
Thank you, Brenda's got my back. I keep looking where my camera normally is, and it's not.
I know you get so used to doing things a certain way, and yeah, when you get thrown out of place, it's makes it hard. All right, so it looks like
I love all things trackers and planners, and so we're really entering my like favorite time of year where I love to plan out things. I love to come up with trackers, and then 6 weeks later, are they still in process? I don't know, but I love the adventure of a new year and at least pretending like I'm going to track and plan things for the whole year. So yeah, give it a go.
boom, 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 boom. Okay. Looks like I might have done this one correctly.
So as we're getting close to the 10 o'clock hour, does anybody have, other than that last minute shopping, has anybody got anything exciting planned for the weekend? I'm going to something called Lights on the Lake around here where you drive through and look at Christmas lights. So I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they will just love that.
Brenda's we did something. We did something like that last weekend. Last Saturday, we took the girls and the doggos up to Newport News, where you drive through the city park, and it has a lake in the middle of it as well, which is fun. So, and then this weekend we have 2 light shows lined up. One is at the Botanical Gardens, which you guys will get to see on, that'll be next week, because that's Sunday night. And Saturday night, we have something that's fairly unique. We have the USS Wisconsin that's permanently docked here. It's one of the battleships that was in several of the different theaters that the military did, and they decorate that up with, is it 1 million or 2 million lights? And so, yeah, this battleship is decked out with lights, and it's always a fun place to go take the kids to and wander around. So that one you'll get to see Sunday morning on the podcast. And then the Botanical Gardens you get to see next week, because we won't see those until after the podcast is done.
Ooh, something to look forward to. That sounds incredible, though. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, if you go back and look at, I forget which episode it is. If you can't wait till Sunday, you can go back and look at last year's thing from, let me go see if I can find it. I'll tell you which episode it is in a minute.
Krista's got some last minute gifts and shopping. We have a zoo thing here around here too, Aaron, and I think it's either I'd have to go tomorrow night or Saturday night. So I am considering Saturday night, if my kids haven't driven me absolutely bonkers, that I might take them on Saturday. Chloe making fudge. I've never made fudge, but I love to eat fudge. My stepmom makes some killer fudge.
Fudge is easy.
Husband's aunt turns 90, so they're having a big family party, and that's an amazing decade that she hit. Good for her. And Andy's brother's coming into town, so Andy's busy.
Yeah, that'll keep her entertained for a while.
That's awesome. Happy birthday. Lots of last minute shopping and wrapping. Yeah. My husband is starting to make me anxious because he has not started wrapping. So, and I don't wrap. Before I met him, everything went into a gift bag. So,
well, it's better than what we used to do. When I was growing up, if you bought something at Walmart or Target, it got handed to you in the Walmart or Target bag.
The thought that counts, not the wrapping paper.
Well, that way too,
Um,
if you didn't like it, you know what, you knew what to return it
where
to.
to go?
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
episode 102. If you want to go take a look at the Battleship Lights and don't want to wait till Sunday, you can go check out episode 102 and look at it that way. But yeah, just if you can wait till Sunday. We'll take some new footage and do that as well. Okay, so I actually have done pretty well and haven't taken over, which is good. So
yeah, and I've done pretty well too because normally I'm just used to just chatting all by myself. So it's always an adjustment when there's somebody else here with me.
where
Um,
it's opposite for me. I've had to do a live a couple of times by myself, and it's so weird not having someone to talk to. And I prefer having a guest. I think it's fun having someone to bounce back and forth with. It's a fantastic dealing of people, yeah, talking with people in the chat as well. But
definitely.
it's not quite the same as having someone, you know, with another camera to talk to as well. So
Yes, I agree. I also have gotten used to like just a little bit of silence at work on Zoom calls. So sometimes when I'm sitting here, I just, you know, I forget that I'm supposed to be talking. Oh, Joanne's making Christmas cookies. I'm so upset, Joanne, that I missed the guild meeting this week. My daughter was sick. Looking at the wrong camera again because I last year was my first guild meeting I went to, and they had the most delicious, tasty desserts and snacks, and I was very upset I missed it.
oh, speaking of guilds too, you missed my guild meeting and you won some prizes.
Oh yeah, I
Remember?
Sean has a uh virtual quilt guild in that he hosts in Discord, and I entered my quilts in and I won. What did I win again?
I think you got two first and a second.
First and a
Hold up.
second.
I think so. Let me pull up the results real quick.
I crushed it.
Yeah, I mean, I was really proud. Someone asked me why I didn't enter a quilt, and I'm like, well, I was a judge. I think that would be a little unfair.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
I mean, that was a good question. I thought it was a fantastic question. I'm like, yeah.
Well, thanks
Um,
for yeah, I'm excited. Oh, Aaron, you literally should have seen me the first time I did some lives. Like sweating bullets was not a figurative language. I literally was sweating so much the first few
my
lives I
first
did.
live was an absolute disaster. I think I've told this story before, but goodness me, yeah, it was an absolute disaster. It lasted all of about 4 minutes. I was not prepared. I had nothing went right. The dogs were barking and carrying on. They wanted to go in, they wanted to go out. And I was like, after 4 minutes, I'm like, thank you all so much for showing up. We need to come back, prepare, and do this better next time. I deleted that video and it's gone. Like, but you know, I learned so much from it. Yeah, and then I think my first live with others was with Becca and Ian and Mum and Pop Quilt Shop, Tiffany's Quilting Life. There was two others, like all these huge channels, and I was like this little fish in there, and I was so nervous. Like, yeah, so yeah, you get it's like anything else, you get better at it as time goes on. So
The first live I did was on TikTok. I started doing lives over the summer on TikTok on my deck. And yeah, those were a little rough to begin with, but then I had a few people that just like sat there and liked watching me hand stitch. I haven't done that in a long time. I like YouTube is kind of where I found like where I like to be. Had a sample everywhere else though.
yeah, all right. So Tasha, you got first in the wall hanging machine quilted.
That was my poppy quilt by Cotton and Bourbon.
What did we do? Tasha got on your honorable mention in small slash lap quilt machine quilted.
That was my Blooming Blades, I think.
Yeah, and then second place in the oops, which we had a fun category because I figured, a lot of us, we had the best of intentions, and sometimes we get towards the end of the deadline and we just know there's no way that we're going to get it pieced, quilted, bound, and ready. So I came up with some oops categories, and that was basically a quilt top. You could enter a quilt top into the quilt show. And so a lot, we actually had 1, 2, 3, 4, out of the 24 quilts that were entered into the show, 6 of them were quilt top onlys. And I just thought it was a fun way. I didn't want that to be the deciding factor of you being able to enter the show or not. It was just a lot of fun for the guild members just to, have a low-key, non-threatening way to try and get their stuff just evaluated. And it was a lot of fun. And I thought it was a fantastic category, and I would definitely offer that again next year when we do the show again. It's just a lot of fun. There's no physical prizes. There's no entry fees. I'm toying the idea of maybe making up some little ribbons or something like that next time around. But we'll have to see how that goes. That's just kind of a thing I'm thinking about doing, that sort of thing there. So,
Laura.
Amy's asking, was the first one the Jelly Roll race or the Charm Square challenge? It was the Charm Square challenge. And I still have that quilt top floating around here somewhere. I'll have to pull it out one day and show you what it was. I found a Charm Square pack. That was the thing. You're supposed to have a Charm Square pack and then up to 3 yards or something like that of other materials and make something out of it. And it was a lot of fun, each and every one I was doing. And except for Ian, he got a little confused. He used whatever the 10-inch squares are. He got the
layer cakes.
Layer cakes, that's what it was. I just called them supersized charm squares. But that quilt, if I remember correctly, ended up winning like first prize at one of the Texas shows or something like that. So it was if you want to know the term happy accident, I think you can look at that quilt and call that a wonderful happy accident.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, because I saw him enter that. I saw the blue ribbon. He put a picture of it up about 10 months later, and it was like this blue ribbon. I'm like, is that your supersized charm?
That truly is a happy accident.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'd love to have a first place ribbon, like it may never happen, but it would be nice to have a blue one. So I'll have to enter my own quilt show.
I'm going to try to research how to enter quilts into my local state fair. I haven't ever done that.
It's in, I think yours is in, what was it? I was looking at New York a couple of weeks ago. I think it's in like early September or something like that in Albany. But yeah, just look up the state fair website and then go to competitions and look. Each state fair is a little different. So there you go. Jan says it must be late for us. Yes, it's a little after 10 a.m. here because it's 10 a.m. Friday where Jan is. So if you want to know what tomorrow's already like, you can just ask Jan.
Fun. Yeah, thankfully I'm only like 15 minutes from where the state fair is, so it'll be quick. Laura, I hope that you you get your doctor's approvals and get that back looked at sooner rather than later. I'm sorry you're going through all that. And it is now 10 o'clock, and I know most of us have to work tomorrow, so I don't want to hold anybody hostage. So I want to say thank you to everybody for coming. Please go check out Sean at The Guy Who Sews. If you have not already, I think most of you are familiar, but The Guy Who Sews, you'll find him linked below. And thank you so much for coming, Sean. And I look forward to hopefully, well, I was going to say, I hope I get a bunch of fat quarters from you, but I also hope I don't. So we'll see what happens.
It'll be a good challenge. It'll be fun either way.
Either way. So I hope you guys will join us on our Sew Every Day in January challenge. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Sean.
Not a problem at all. And we'll see you all next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.